different thing here with my stream. So you guys let me know if you can hear me, if everything's all good to go. Let's go ahead and go live here. All right, we should be live. Let me know how everything is.
Hallie Jackson.
If you guys can hear me.
Hi, Savannah and Lester. We know that this is a moment, right, 2 years in the making, and perhaps nobody is watching this more closely than the man in the building behind me here, President Trump. We know he's paying attention to this. He's already tweeting about it, simply saying this morning, presidential harassment in all caps via Twitter. He also tweeted,
all right,
I think we will hear a lot from both the president and White House officials throughout the
So I'll turn the background audio down. This is just on NBC. We're waiting for Bill Barr to come on out to the podium, which will be right here, if you guys can see my mouse on the screen. So we're just getting ready to roll. And thank y'all for joining. I'm going to certainly appreciate you. If you are in the building, you're just not coming in, please give the video a thumbs up. It helps out tremendously. Alrighty, and I'm going to go ahead and share this on some of my pages here, just to make sure everything's on the up and up.
Based on my conversation with a White House official, that they will split up into teams.
All right, let's go ahead and do this.
Parts of the building, each reading sections of the report once it is released, looking for specific things that potentially could be used to vindicate the president. That said, there is a sense of anxiety among allies and aides in and around.
So, any predictions for the actual press conference? What's going to happen here? What's going to be the result?
That's the case. There could be potentially embarrassing and damaging details related to the president that could optically make him not look so great. That is the concern for folks here today, Savannah and Lester.
All right. Hallie Jackson, again, on the right of your screen, you're looking at the news conference room at the Department of Justice, where Attorney General William Barr is scheduled to come out right about now. Of course, we'll take you there, but let me swing over to NBC's Andrea Mitchell, who has some insight on what's about to transpire. Andrea?
Well, one of the things we're really looking at very closely when we talk about obstruction and collusion and the broad conclusions that were previewed by William Barr and are so suspect, frankly, is what do we learn about this, about Russia? Looking forward to 2020, counterintelligence officials want to know, what did Russia try? And even if it did not rise to the level of a criminal prosecution as determined by William Barr, if not by Mueller himself, what really do we know now about the attack on our democracy by Russia? What do we know about the relationship and about what pressure, if you will, or what hold Vladimir Putin may or may not have had on the President of the United States? Why did the President act so strangely?
That's what I'm thinking, too.
Putin,
Big time nothing burger.
Everything up to and including the Helsinki news.
You got a bunch of people bloviating on television about nothing, really. I don't even know who this is. It doesn't even really matter.
Secretary of State visiting with the Attorney General
yeah, but we're going to see. We're waiting for him to come out right now. The press conference is scheduled to be at, I'm going to just cut her off for a minute. The press conference is scheduled to be at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And Donald Trump's going to make some remarks at about 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time during his talk to veterans. So we'll see how that actually goes. If everything's on the up and up with that.
Okay. 2-minute warning.
Thank you to Darth Mendez for your donation earlier. I definitely appreciate it. But yeah, we're going to see how everything's going in just a few minutes. We're waiting live. If you're just now tuning in, we're waiting live for William Barr to come on out and address the people.
To wait and see. We go to Casey Hunt on Capitol Hill. And of course, one of the most perplexing questions to come out, Casey,
and thank y'all for joining,
is why it is that Robert Mueller chose not to render a legal judgment, a conclusion as to this issue of obstruction of justice. We're about 2 minutes away from the news conference from the Attorney General. A lot of people are wondering, does that mean he wanted Congress, your beat, he wanted members of Congress to determine whether or not this was some sort of political issue?
My sources are telling me
what veto from Trump
is
this,
exactly
Gregory? I'm not really sure.
They want to get the answer to, and they are hoping that it doesn't fall into one of these categories of redactions.
Thank you, Emmett. Thank you, Nupi. I appreciate it. Thank you, Travis.
They want to know what Robert Mueller's intent was, not what the Attorney General's intent was. And Democrats are already attacking this news conference that we are about to see because They don't yet have a copy of the report. The public doesn't yet have a copy of the report. So we're going to be taking everything the Attorney General says at face value. And they say, the top Democrat Chuck Schumer out tweeting already this morning that is an indefensible position. Now, we do know that they will be receiving copies of the report at 11 a.m. this morning via CD-ROM. They'll be delivered, we expect, to the Judiciary and Intelligence Committees, where staffers will be scrambling to read through it quickly. But, you know, Savannah, Lester, there is a real built-in advantage here for the administration and for the Attorney General, because Congress isn't even in session. Members of Congress, Democratic members of Congress, not here in Washington.
It doesn't even matter if they're there or not. Who cares? Like, all we're trying to do right now is just get a basic
going on this week.
All we're trying to do right now is get a basic view of what's happening with the Mueller report. So we don't really care if Congress is there or not. They don't need to be there. What are they really going to do? You know, all they can do is read it the same as us.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for being here this morning. As you know, on March 22nd, Special Counsel Robert Mueller concluded his investigation into matters related to Russian attempts to interfere in our 2016 presidential election, and he submitted his confidential report to me pursuant to department regulations. As I said during my Senate confirmation hearing and since, I'm committed to ensuring the greatest degree possible of transparency concerning the special counsel's investigation, consistent with the law. At 11 this morning, I'm going to transmit copies of the public version of the special counsel's report to the chairman and ranking members of the Senate and House Judiciary Committees. The Department of Justice will also make the report available to the American people by posting it on the department's website after it has been delivered to Congress. I'd like to make a few comments today on the report. Before I do that, I want to thank Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein for joining me here today and for his assistance and counsel throughout this process. Rod, as you know, has served at the department for nearly 30 years with dedication and distinction, and it's been a great privilege and pleasure for me to work with him since my confirmation. He had well-deserved plans to step back from public service that were interrupted by my asking him to help in my transition. Rod has been an invaluable partner, and I am grateful that he is willing to help me and has been able to see the special counsel investigation through to its conclusion. Thanks, Rod. Thank you. Yeah. I'd also like to thank Special Counsel Robert Mueller for his service and the thoroughness of his investigation, particularly his work exposing the nature of Russia's attempts to interfere in our electoral process. As you know, one of the primary purposes of the Special Counsel's investigation was to determine whether President Trump's campaign or any individual associated with it conspired or coordinated with the Russian government to interfere in the 2016 election. Volume 1 of the Special Counsel's report describes the results of that investigation. As you will see, the Special Counsel's report states that his, quote, investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. I am sure that all Americans share my concern about the efforts of the Russian government to interfere in our presidential election. As the Special Counsel report makes clear, the Russian government sought to interfere in our election process. But thanks to the Special Counsel's thorough investigation, we now know that the Russian operatives who perpetrated these schemes did not have the cooperation of President Trump or the Trump campaign.
Yep.
Or the knowing assistance of any other American, for that matter.
Yep.
That is something that all Americans can and should be grateful to have confirmed. The Special Counsel report outlines two main efforts by the Russian government to influence the 2016 election. First, the report details efforts by the Internet Research Agency, a Russian company with close ties to the Russian government, to sow social discord among American voters through disinformation and social media operations. Following a thorough investigation of this disinformation campaign, the special counsel brought charges in federal court against several Russian nationals and entities for their respective roles in this scheme. Those charges remain pending, and the individual defendants remain at large. But the special counsel found no evidence that any American, including anyone associated with the Trump campaign, conspired or coordinated with the Russian government or the IRA in this illegal scheme. Indeed, as the report states, quote, the investigation did not identify evidence that any U.S. person knowingly or intentionally coordinated with the IRA's interference operation, unquote. Put another way, the special counsel found no collusion by any Americans in IRA's illegal activities. Second, the report details efforts by the Russian military officials associated with the GRU, the Russian Military Intelligence Organization, to hack into computers and steal documents and emails from individuals associated with the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton's campaign for the purpose of eventually publicizing these documents. Obtaining such unauthorized...
Oh, okay, hold on. We got to switch streams here. Give me 1 second.
Thorough investigation of these hacking operations, special Russian military officers several Russian military officers for their respect, and the defendants remain at large. But again, the special counsel's report did not find any evidence that members of the Trump campaign or anyone associated with the campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in these hacking operations. In other words, there was no evidence of the Trump campaign collusion with the Russian government's hacking. The special counsel's investigation also examined Russian efforts to publish stolen emails and documents on the internet. The special counsel found that after the GRU disseminated some of the stolen documents to entities that it controlled, DC Leaks and Guccifer 2, the GRU transferred some of the stolen materials to WikiLeaks for publication. WikiLeaks then made a series of document dumps. The special counsel also investigated whether any member or affiliate of the Trump campaign encouraged or otherwise played a role in these dissemination efforts. Under applicable law, publication of these types of material would not be criminal unless the publisher also participated in the underlying hacking conspiracy. Here, too, the special counsel's report did not find that any person associated with the Trump campaign illegally participated in the dissemination of the materials. Finally, the special counsel investigated a number of links or contacts between the Trump campaign officials and individuals connected with the Russian government during the 2016 presidential campaign. After reviewing these contacts, the special counsel did not find any conspiracy to violate U.S. law involving Russian-linked persons and any persons associated with the Trump campaign. So that's the bottom line. After nearly 2 years of investigation, thousands of subpoenas, hundreds of warrants, and witness interviews, the special counsel confirmed that the Russian government sponsored efforts to illegally interfere with the 2016 presidential election, but did not find that the Trump campaign or other Americans colluded in those efforts.
Thank you, sir.
After finding no underlying collusion with Russia, the special counsel's report goes on to consider whether certain actions of the president could amount to obstruction of the special counsel's investigation. As I addressed in my March 24th letter, the special counsel did not make a traditional prosecutorial judgment regarding this allegation. Instead, the report recounts 10 episodes involving the president and discusses potential legal theories for connecting those activities to the elements of an obstruction offense. After carefully reviewing the facts and legal theories outlined in the report, and in consultation with the Office of Legal Counsel and other department lawyers, the Deputy Attorney General and I concluded that the evidence developed by the special counsel is not sufficient to establish that the President committed an obstruction of justice offense. Although the Deputy Attorney General and I disagreed with some of the special counsel's legal theories and felt that some of the episodes examined did not amount to obstruction as a matter of law, we did not rely solely on that in making our decision. Instead, we accepted the special counsel's legal framework for purposes of our analysis and evaluated the evidence as presented by the special counsel in reaching our conclusions. In assessing the President's actions discussed in the report, it is important to bear in mind the context. President Trump faced an unprecedented situation. As he entered into office and sought to perform his responsibilities as president, federal agents and prosecutors were scrutinizing his conduct before and after taking office and the conduct of some of his associates. At the same time, there was relentless speculation in the news media about the president's personal culpability. Yet, as he said from the beginning, there was in fact no collusion. And as the special counsel's report acknowledges, there is substantial evidence to show that the president was frustrated and angered by his sincere belief that the investigation was undermining his presidency, propelled by his political opponents, and fueled by illegal leaks. Nonetheless, the White House fully cooperated with the special counsel's investigation, providing unfettered access to campaign and White House documents, directing senior aides to testify freely, and asserting no privilege claims. And at the same time, the president took no act that in fact deprived the special counsel of the documents and witnesses necessary to complete his investigation. Apart from whether the acts were obstructive, this evidence of non-corrupt motives weighs heavily against any allegation that the president had a corrupt intent to obstruct the investigation. Now, before I take questions, I want to address a few aspects of the process for producing the public Senate and House judicial so that the readers can tell which redactions. Now, as to recall, those categories are 6E material, grand jury material, information that the IC believes would disclose sources and methods, information that would impair the investigation and prosecution of other cases that are underway, and finally, information that implicates the privacy and reputational interests of peripheral third parties. As you will see, most of the redactions were compelled by the need to prevent harm to ongoing matters and to comply with court orders prohibiting the public disclosure of information bearing on ongoing investigations and criminal cases, such as the IRA case and the Roger Stone case. These redactions were applied by Department of Justice attorneys working closely together with attorneys from the special counsel's office, as well as the intelligence community, and prosecutors are handling the ongoing cases. The redactions are their work product. No redactions done by anybody outside this group. There were no redactions done by anybody outside this group. No one outside this group proposed any redactions, and no one outside the department has seen the unredacted report, with the exception of certain sections that were made available to IC, the intelligence community, for their advice on protecting intelligence sources and methods. Consistent with longstanding executive branch practice, the decision whether to assert executive privilege over any portion of the report rested with the President of the United States. Because the White House had voluntarily cooperated with the special counsel, significant portions of the report contained material over which the President could have asserted privilege, and he would have been well within his rights to do so. Following my March 29th letter, the Office of the White House Counsel requested the...
Uh-oh. Okay, that's RT stream. Let's go back to the Washington Post.
well within his rights to do so. Following my March 29th letter, the Office of the White House Counsel requested the opportunity to review the redacted version of the report in order to advise the President on the potential invocation of privilege, which is consistent with long-standing practice. Following that review, the President confirmed that in the interest of transparency and full disclosure to the American people, he would not assert privilege over the special counsel's report. Accordingly, the public report I am releasing today contains redactions only for the 4 categories that I previously outlined, and no material has been redacted based on executive privilege. In addition, earlier this week, the President's personal counsel requested and was given the opportunity to read a final version of the redacted report before it was publicly released. That request was consistent with the practice followed under the Ethics in Government Act, which permitted individuals named in a report prepared by an independent counsel the opportunity to read the report before publication. The President's personal lawyers were not permitted to make and did not request any redactions. In addition to making the redacted report public, we are also working with Congress to accommodate their legitimate oversight interests with respect to the special counsel's investigation. We have been consulting with Chairman Graham and Chairman Nadler through this process, and we will continue to do so.
Nadler.
Given the limited nature of the redactions, I believe that the publicly released report will allow every American to understand the results of the special counsel's investigation. Nevertheless, in an effort to accommodate congressional requests, we will make available, subject to appropriate safeguards, to a bipartisan group of leaders from several congressional committees, a version of the report with all redactions removed, except those relating to grand jury information. Thus, these members of Congress will be able to see all of the redacted material for themselves, with the limited exception of that which, by law, cannot be shared.
They're going to leak it,
I believe
for sure.
that this accommodation, together with my upcoming testimony before the Senate and House Judiciary Committees, will satisfy any need Congress has for information regarding the special counsel's investigation. Once again, I'd like to thank you for being here, and I will now have a few questions.
Mr. Attorney General, we don't have the report in hand, so could you explain for us the special counsel's articulated reason for not reaching a decision on obstruction of justice, and if it had anything to do with the department's long-standing guidance on not indicting a sitting president? And you say you disagreed with some of his legal theories. What did you disagree with him on?
I'd leave it to his description in the report, the special counsel's own articulation of why he did not want to make a determination as to whether or not there was an obstruction offense. But I will say that when we met with him, Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein and I met with him, along with Ed O'Callaghan, who is the principal associate deputy, on March 5th, we specifically asked him about the OLC opinion and whether or not he was taking the position that he would have found a crime but for the existence of the OLC opinion. And he made it very clear several times that that was not his position. He was not saying that but for the OLC opinion he would have found a crime. He made it clear that he had not made the determination that there was a crime.
Did you disagree with him on?
May I follow up on that, Mr. Attorney General?
What did you disagree with him on?
Given that, why did you and Mr. Rosenstein feel the need you had to take it to the next step to conclude that there was no crime, especially given that DOJ policy?
Well, the very prosecutorial function and all our powers as prosecutors, including the power to convene grand juries and the compulsory process that's involved there, is for one purpose and one purpose only. It's determine yes or no. Was alleged conduct criminal or not criminal? That is our responsibility, and that's why we have the tools we have. And we don't go through this process just to collect information and throw it out to the public. We collect this information, we use that compulsory process for the purpose of making that decision. And because the special counsel did not make that decision. We felt the department had to, and that was a decision by me and the Deputy Attorney General. Yes.
Or did the special counsel indicate that he wanted you to make the decision, or that it should be left for Congress? And also, how do you respond to criticism you're receiving from congressional Democrats that you're acting more as an attorney for the president rather than as the chief law enforcement officer?
Come on, man. Stop
Special
it.
Counsel Mueller did not indicate that his purpose was to leave the decision to Congress. I hope that was not his view, since we don't convene grand juries and conduct criminal investigations for that purpose. He did not, I didn't talk to him directly about the fact that we were making the decision, but I am told that his reaction to that was that it was my prerogative as Attorney General to make that decision.
My prerogative. I do what I want to do.
Fox News. Hi there. Is there anything you can share today about your review of the genesis of the Russia investigation and whether assets have been provided to investigate?
No, today I'm really focused just on the process of releasing this report.
Democrats in Congress have asked for Robert Mueller himself to testify. Robert Mueller remains a Justice Department employee as of this moment. Will you permit him to testify publicly to Congress?
I have no objection to Bob Mueller personally testifying.
Mr. Attorney General, it's not just Democrats who have questioned some of the process here. A Republican-appointed judge on Tuesday said you have, quote, created an environment that has caused a significant part of the American public to be concerned about these redactions. You've cleared the president on obstruction. The president is fundraising off of your comments about spying. And here you have remarks that are quite generous to the president, including acknowledging his feelings and his emotions. So what do you say to people on both sides of the aisle who are concerned that you are trying to protect the president?
Well, actually, the statements about his sincere beliefs are recognized in the report, that there was substantial evidence for that. So I'm not sure what your basis is for saying that I am being generous to the president.
You face an unprecedented situation. It just seems like there's a lot of effort to say, to go out of your way to acknowledge how this.
Well, is there another precedent for it?
No, but it's unusual.
Okay, so unprecedented is an accurate description, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
What do you say to people who are concerned that you are trying to protect the president?
Eric?
There's a lot of public interest in the absence of the special counsel and members of his team. Was he invited to join you up on the podium? Why is he not here? This is his report, obviously, that you're talking about today.
No, it's not. It's a report he did for me as the Attorney General. He is required under the regulation to provide me with a confidential report. I'm here to discuss my response to that report and my decision, entirely discretionary, to make it public, since these reports are not supposed to be made public. That's what I'm here to discuss.
Propriety for you to come out and sort of what appears to be sort of spinning the report before the public gets a chance
Spinning the
to read
report? Wow. Really?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, is that it? He's gone? Okay. he just bounced. It's like, yo, I'm out. I'm finished. Oh, okie dokie. All right, so I'm not really sure what's next. Let me go to NBC right quick and see what they're saying about the whole situation, and then I guess we can go from there. I guess
Discuss. Impropriety for you to come out and sort of what appears to be sort of spinning the report before the public gets a chance to read it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
We've been listening to the Attorney General of the United States, William Barr, issue some conclusions describing to a certain extent the content of the Mueller report, which we now expect to see in a matter of minutes or hours. The 400-page document will be released. He described the conclusions thereof and in remarkable terms talked about the substance of it, saying there was no collusion and no conspiracy, and actually asserted, as a matter of fact, that no one in the Trump campaign coordinated with any member, any Russian official in order to meddle with our election. Quite extraordinary comments. And then on the issue of obstruction.
Yeah, well, first of all, he says, confirm that there was no obstruction. The words we've heard the president and his folks use before. But there was this issue with.
Okay, so that's pretty much all there is to it right there. So we all know that there's no obstruction. Hold on, let me get myself right here. Matter of fact, I think oh, is he back? What's going on?
Evidence show the president was frustrated.
Oh, that's earlier. Okay, I'm about to say, did he come back? I think he's done. Let me see if I can get myself. Hold on one second. You're not gonna be able to see the chat over here. I'm gonna try to just get myself back to a normal. Let me see. Do I have a thing set up? I guess I don't. Yeah, I don't. This is fine right here because you guys can see pretty much what's happening. And I'm gonna just move this so it can be kind of like right over there. Yeah, that'll work. Perfect. Okay, so I mean, what's going to be next here? I mean, are we going to see anything as far as a report coming out within the next? Like they're talking about the next few minutes, maybe few hours. Trump's going to be out at about 10:30 a.m. speaking to veterans, and he's going to address the Mueller report at that particular point in time. What I might do is go ahead and end this stream and then come back and stream that and see what he says, because I think this is pretty much the end as far as anything else is concerned. Let me see what they're talking about right here.
It might say we didn't establish that a crime was committed, but to actually say we know that a crime didn't happen is not the way DOJ usually talks about in investigations, and it was not
much, just basically, just bloviating. So there's what we were able to get from that particular press conference is that while the Russians may have tried to interfere with the election, quote unquote, illegally, which I don't even really believe that, but since they did that, that's on them. They got to deal with that. But it does not mean that the Americans, it does not mean that us, the people, we the people, or President Trump or anybody else in the government conspired with them. There's no evidence of that. That's basically what was said here. And the whole narrative from the media is that Donald Trump is a puppet of Vladimir Putin. He's doing Putin's bidding. Nothing was found in the Mueller report that suggests that. Now, the media, what they want and what a lot of people in Congress want is an unredacted report, meaning no black marks on it. Just have all the methods be revealed, names, addresses, phone numbers, all that. They want all that stuff revealed. They think that Trump is going to instruct his people to redact certain information that would implicate him. But that doesn't make any sense, because I don't think Bob Mueller is necessarily a friend to Trump. If there was anything in there, they would have got him on it, because they locked up so many people on ticky-tack things. Papadopoulos, they put him in prison, not jail, where you would normally go for a short sentence. They put him in prison for 7 days. Talking about obstruct, like lying, just little stuff. They got Paul Manafort on old tax evasion charges because there was nothing else to get him on. They were trying to intimidate them into rolling on Trump, but there's nothing to roll on. So what are you really going to do? So they found nothing. They have nothing. And this report pretty much just confirms that. Okay, Tiffany Lamar says they just cleared Hillary, Obama, every American, as well as Trump. Yeah, that's pretty much what it seems like. Unfortunately, they shouldn't be clearing Hillary Clinton, but it is what it is. So I think that's pretty much a wrap. Hold on. I have a super chat. Thank you to Jake, who says, thanks for posting. Thank you for that. I may come back at about 10:30 if Trump comes out and speaks to the veterans. And I think that's pretty much all we got. So thank y'all for joining. I will see y'all again shortly. If I don't stream again shortly, I'll probably do like a regular video throughout the day. So, and if you are a first-time viewer, please subscribe to the channel. Right under me, there should be a red button. Make that red button gray for me. And click on the bell right beside it. Click on the bell so you get notified whenever I go live or post a new video. So, until next time, y'all be safe. I'm out. And peace.